Our culture, you and I are living in a cultural moment that's pretty inherently divisive, and the whole social
Yes.
media, YouTube, all of these things. I mean, YouTube
Yes.
algorithms thrive on divisive clickbait headlines and thumbnails,
Right.
and so as Christians and Christian content creators, if people want to use that term, I struggle with how do I get stuff in front of people. If I have a
Right.
video teaching series on something that I think is pretty important, but it doesn't have I can't think of a clickbait headline if I'm going to
Right.
talk about ancient
Right.
Near East background to Tiamat and Leviathan kind of stuff. So when you're prepping, I want to talk a little bit kind of, and you can be as transparent or as guarded as you want. You may want to keep the
Sure.
secret sauce secret and not show or tell everything about how you do what you do. But how do you go about when you're going to make a video, presenting it? What is your mindset in making a video and saying, okay, how do I get people to click that I think will benefit from this without it
Yeah.
being misleading, clickbait, or trendy in what's going on right now?
Yeah. I've worked through this. I had a really fantastic editor at Faith Life when I first got there, who's been probably more influential on my writing than anybody else. And that's saying something because I've had a number of good editors who've been real friends of mine. And we talked a lot about clickbait titles because they are part and parcel of, titling is an essential aspect of the ministry of
Right.
writing online, and that would include presenting on YouTube. And we agreed that we're willing to lean in the direction of clickbaitiness only if what we promise we deliver. So, countless times, well, among the times I've been tripped up by clickbait myself, frequently what's frustrating to me is that they promise some secret, you'll never expect this or that. And then it turns out to be only under the most generous definition could they be said to be telling the truth.
Right.
So I'm willing to use conflict and curiosity. I got those two C's from Ray Comfort. Somebody relayed this to me. I thought it was really helpful. I want to use those things to drive interest in my videos. But I've also always had a little bit of a contrarian streak when it comes to this. And I remember being a young blogger and noticing that other guys my age in the, Theo blog space were doing book giveaways and other things that are not wrong at all. I'm not saying that's bad. But I just felt like I want only my content to pull people in. I don't want to use marketing. And again, like I work for a marketing department. Marketing is not wrong. I'm not saying anybody else has to do it my way. But I erect a little bit of a barrier to entry. And so I don't spend a whole lot of time on those titles. I do think I'm thinking conflict and curiosity, but sometimes my titles are really wordy. And I always love over the centuries, titling has changed a lot. And I'm fascinated by back in the 19th century, I guess, or maybe it was the 18th, they would have a title, the greatest house in the country, comma, or, and then they have a subtitle rather than
Right.
a
Right.
colon like we do. And so sometimes I ape that, I'm just playing around and I have private jokes that sometimes only I get. And that's probably not good YouTube titling practice. Don't do what I do, but that's what I'm thinking. That's my secret sauce.
Well, the good thing is when somebody picks up on that, you immediately have a fan that's going to stick with you.
Yeah.
Like when somebody catches a
Yeah.
reference or a little thing, I have people that will notice things in the background on my shelf here, pop culture nerdy stuff, and they're like, I've never seen somebody teach the Bible with Big Trouble in Little China action figure behind him. What is this all about? So you can kind
Yep.
of catch. So when you drop something that's like insider knowledge, or somebody who would have to have read 18th century literature to pick up on it, I think yes, it doesn't draw as many. You don't get the wide
Right.
masses, but the ones you do, that they're going to appreciate it, and there's something rewarding about that.
Yeah. Which I would not do in church, right?
Right,
When
right,
I'm in
right.
church, I'm serving those people. But on YouTube, I feel like, okay, I just hate this terminology, but this is one place when it works. I can be myself,
Right.
and people either like it or, most cases they don't. That's okay. One of the reasons I do that is I found I'm incredibly busy. I really don't have time for a YouTube channel. I don't know how I do it. I have to write in a fit of, like a manic fit almost to get it all done. I have to shoot and edit in a manic fit. I don't have time really to be translating everything I do into something that's more accessible. I feel bad saying that because a big part of my message is that you got to be accessible for the plowboy. But I'm not a Bible translation, and I also feel like my audience is pastors and other Bible nerds. I'm really not mainly reaching out to the average person in the pew, and I'm not putting that person down or putting anybody down who reaches that person. I think it's a wonderful skill to have. I just interviewed Christiane Boulet, the Beatty's wife, and she wrote a book called Literarily about the genres of scripture, and I feel like she did an excellent job just being approachable and accessible to the person in the pew. When I'm on my YouTube channel, that isn't really my focus. I'm trying to influence the influencer. So if somebody says, "Oh, I like your channel," but I'm just a person in the pew. No, you're not. You're a Bible nerd.
Right,
I've
right.
kind of I've winnowed you out by, if you like this stuff, then you're a pastor or other Bible nerd.
Yeah, you have an appreciation for it, and it definitely shows. Do you, when you make a video, um, how do you start to finish? Do you write it out entirely as a script? Do you film? How much more do you film? Like, for instance, just background, when I do a Bible review, the review may end up being between, usually 20 minutes is about what I want to shoot for. And most of the time when I film, what I film is going to be 40 minutes to an hour. And I end up cutting that down significantly. But I don't write anything down beforehand. You know, I've always been more off the cuff. Your videos, I don't notice very many cuts in them, and your precision, your word precision is very clear. So I'm wondering, do you write beforehand? Do you memorize what you
Oh yeah.
write? Do you prompter? How does that work?
There is only one bit of secret sauce in there, but I'll tell you almost everything else. I script 99% of my videos, and I do use a teleprompter. If occasionally I'll do a book review and I'm just tired, and
Right.
I'll say something and then stop and try to be completely still and then say the next thing. I've done that just a couple times, and then I'll just cut out those gaps. That's actually really laborious. I find the most efficient way. So that's easy to do in at the moment, but it's harder later on when I'm editing. It takes
Mm-hmm.
much longer. So the most efficient way is I write it all out in that manic fit. I'm just all the time writing. I mean, writing
Yeah.
all everywhere, and I have all my devices set up so I can just get right to writing. I love writing in Markdown, and then I have little tricks where I have an app that helps me run a macro on the text and get it ready for the teleprompter, and then I just
Okay.
stick it up there and go.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't do all the cool stuff that other YouTubers can do, which I think is awesome. And they're great with, on location shooting, and they have somebody filming them on a, what they call those things, a gimbal. I have one of those, but none of my family wants to do it, and I don't want to make them. So it's usually a talking head. And I try to make up for that by having some beautiful backdrops, because I live in the Pacific Northwest, which is absolutely
Yeah.
terribly beautiful. And I also try to make up for it by being efficient with the time use. So I don't want to waste people's time with ums and ahs and poorly thought out sentences. I want to have thought through this. So yeah, 98% of what I do is scripted. I feel most comfortable that way. It probably is also niche. I feel like some people probably get exhausted with the intensity of it all. Like, I'm going, and then I'm done. And I think I've for sure heard people go, whoa. But then a lot of people are like, wow, he's not wasting my time. So again, I'm winnowing my audience, and I just kind of have to do what comes naturally to me, or I can't get it done at all.
Yeah. That makes complete sense. I can tell there's a lot of. I would say your videos have a lot of precision. When I watch them, that's what I'm taken by. Is they're in a good way. There's precision. You're not wasting time, like you said. And do you edit them yourself, or do you have help with the editing? Or
One of these days, if Patreon support gets to the right level, and I'm just blown away that I have any. I only recently started asking for support because I flew down to Dallas to do this series of podcasts that's just coming out, and the ticket was almost $700. So I was like, the labor is worthy of his hire. Don't muzzle the ox that treads out the corn. I've got to have support. Anyway, if support increased to the level where I could do it, I'd love to have, say, somebody in the Philippines or Mexico or something for whom, the wage I can afford is actually really great for them, and they can edit it. But no, I edit everything, and that's got to be part of the efficiency. I have to shoot in such a way that I can edit it pretty easily afterwards. I like editing in Final Cut Pro, and LumaFusion on my iPad Pro is actually how I did the first pretty much 2 years of videos. And it's an excellent app. It's very, very quick. That's what I do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, part of that is just selfishness, as somebody who's over the past 2 years been really focusing on YouTube. I am always interested to hear other people's process, because it doesn't, everybody has their own way they do stuff and their own workflow. But I find myself watching. It's like when you go to seminary, you listen to sermons differently than before you went to seminary. And
Yes,
so when I watch
totally.
videos on YouTube, I watch videos differently now than before
Me
I had to
too.
learn any of this stuff. So I think it's
Yeah.
interesting. And I think there are going to be some viewers who also think it's interesting. But that's not the main reason I want to have you on. I want to get to the meat and potatoes of why you are here.